Okay, let us start our discussion on the previous year questions on ecology. Now we are starting our discussion on 2016 phase 1. There was 11 questions. Okay, so we'll start with this. Which of the following would appear as the pioneer organism on bare rock? So when there is no ecosystem prevailing, when there is no ecosystem, it's a bare rock, nothing can grow on that. Which one will first go and colonize? That is called pioneer species. So here mosses and liverwort, they are the members of bryophyta. Bryophytes, they are bryophytes, so they need some soil, some water, minerals, everything. And green algae also, they need aquatic environment mostly. So these three will not be the answer because they cannot start growing on bare rock as there is no soil. So the answer will be lichen. The answer will be lichen. And why it is lichen? Because what is actually lichen? Lichen is a symbiotic association between algal member and fungal member, where algal member is called the phycobiont and the fungal member is called mycobiont. This is a symbiotic relationship where they lose their identity, specific identity, and they become a new organism. Like one is helping other by providing food, and the fungi is helping the algae by providing the shelter. It is the pioneer colonizer on bare rock because lichen has the capacity to produce acidic secretions, mostly, which is oxalic acid, and this oxalic acid can dissolve the minerals in the rocks. Okay, and they can also chelate the metallic ions, specifically cations in the rock, which make the rock somewhat loose. Okay, fragmented, and this fragmented rock slowly they turns into soil. Withering of rocks lead to soil formation, as well as when they are growing. I have already told that this contain mycobiont, that means the fungal member. So they have hyphae. So these hyphae, when they are penetrating through the rocks, they are also breaking the rock materials into pieces, small fragments, which are giving rise to soil. So when lichen colonizes bare rock, there is soil formation, and after the soil is formed, then all other plants can grow there, and the animals can come at that particular ecosystem, and the full ecosystem is formed. Next question. Depletion of which gas in the atmosphere can lead to an increased incidence of skin cancer? So here we have in choice ammonia, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone. We know ammonia in concentrated form, it's a corrosive gas which can cause skin burn, burning of eye and all. Then methane is a greenhouse gas which adds methane, carbon dioxide, and this kind of gases. They are greenhouse gases which are responsible for our global warming. And nitrous oxide, which is mainly used in dental treatment and other treatment, as it is a sedative, but it also has some side effects like nausea, vomiting in excess concentration. So here the question is skin cancer. Neither of the three are correct. So the correct answer is ozone. Why it is correct? Because ozone is a layer of stratosphere which actually protects us from UVA to small amount and UVB. This UVB is more harmful. Why? Because UVB has shorter wavelength, 280 to 315 nanometer, and though this UVB in small amount is required for our vitamin synthesis, vitamin B12 synthesis in our skin, but this UVB in high amount, that can cause skin cancer. Along with that, ozone also protect us to some extent from UVA. This is slightly this is less harmful than UVB, because these have greater wavelength. Its wavelength is 315 to 400 nanometer. So when there are wars and all, the spacecraft, the supersonic spacecraft, especially Concorde, this kind of spacecraft, their emission can lead to ozone depletion as well as high amount of pollution. So this supersonic aeroplanes or aircrafts can increase ozone depletion from 3 to 23%. Okay, so depletion of ozone can cause DNA damage or DNA alteration, which can give rise to skin cancer, because UV radiation, when they are coming and when we are exposed to the UV radiation, first organ which is affected is our skin. Next question. It is much easier for a small animal to run uphill than for a large animal, because number one, small animals have lower oxygen requirement. They have lower oxygen requirement, that is correct, but they need the oxygen much faster. Now second option is efficiency of muscles in large animals is less than in small animals. This is correct. It is easier to carry a small body weight. This is I think this is a bit unscientific. Smaller animals have a higher metabolic rate. This is also correct. So now we have to choose the correct answer. The correct answer is efficiency of muscles in large animals is less than in small animals. Why? Because the metabolic rate, the basal metabolic rate, is inversely proportional with the size of the body. So metabolic rate is higher in smaller animals. They can utilize, they take the oxygen faster, and they have muscular efficiency so that they can produce more ATP more faster, the energy more faster. So they can very fast, they can climb uphill than large animal, because large animals, they produce ATP slowly as they take oxygen also very slowly. Now, which is the national aquatic animal of India? National aquatic animal of India. 4 options: blue whale, seahorse, Gangetic shark, river dolphin. Here you have to remember the answer, that is river dolphin. This is the national aquatic animal of India. Next question is joint forest management concept. I repeat, joint forest management concept was introduced in India during 1980s, 1990s, 1960s, 1970s. Again you have to remember it is in 1980s. But what is actually this joint forest management concept? That is, wherever there is forest degradation, it is a management concept where including the village and tribal people, this degradation of forest is stopped or somehow managed. Okay, restoration of the forest degradation, that is actually joint forest management concept. It was introduced in 1980s. Now the question is, which one of the following is a characteristic feature of cropland ecosystem? Now what is cropland ecosystem? Cropland ecosystem is an ecosystem created by us, where we are cultivating a particular crop or one or two crops, like in mixed cropping, intercropping, like this. This is a man-made ecosystem. We are creating this ecosystem. So these are the options: absence of weeds, ecological succession, absence of soil organism, and least genetic diversity. Now absence of weeds, this is not possible because this is a well irrigated land, all the crops are growing there, so there is high chance of weeds that will grow there also. We have to use weedicide to kill them, but there will be weeds. So absence of weeds, this is not the answer. Ecological succession occurs where there is no ecosystem. Slowly, one by one, ecological succession occurs to make it a climax community. So this ecological succession is not correct in case of cropland ecosystem. Now absence of soil organism, this is also not possible because soil organisms will thrive there where there is cropland ecosystem, like earthworm and other organisms, they will thrive. So this is not the correct answer. Now least genetic diversity, this is the correct answer. Why this is the correct answer? Because when we are cultivating a crop, or say for example two crops together, then we are choosing the crop, so there is a least chance of genetic diversity within one kind of crop. Okay, so if it is a natural ecosystem where multiple plants are growing together, there is a high chance of genetic diversity. But here we are choosing the crop according to its yield or according to its disease resistance, like this, and then we are cultivating it, so least genetic diversity is there. So this is the correct answer. The question is, when does the growth rate of a population following the logistic model equal 0? Now I want to say something, that growth rate, growth curve, this is a very important region of our discussion because many questions each year come from this region of your text. So you have to know there are two types of growth equations or growth curves. One is exponential, another is logistic. So exponential growth curve, which we get like it just increase and increase. So this is time and this is population growth. Then the curve will be like this, ever uprising. But this is actually not possible. This is absurd because ultimately the resource will be limited. So it has to stop, like size, population size will increase and the population growth will go on indefinitely. This is not possible. So logistic growth curve is more feasible, which happens every time in each and every ecosystem. That is, some or the other like space or food, this becomes a limiting factor. And in logistic growth curve, what happens? This is time and this is population growth. In logistic curve, what happens? In the beginning, it is somewhat like exponential curve, but after a particular level, when the resource become limiting factor, this curve reaches a plateau, and then it becomes stabilized. So this curve becomes S-shaped. From J-shaped curve, it becomes S-shaped, and when it reaches this part, This is the carrying capacity. So the population density, if we are taking population density, we are denoting it with capital N, and if we are denoting the carrying capacity with K, capital K, then this is the curve, this is the point of the curve where population density or population growth becomes just equal to carrying capacity. Furthermore, population growth is not possible. Only when one thing can happen here, that is if in this particular region we can see that there are some predator in this ecosystem which is causing harm to other populations. So what we can do, if we can see that there are many examples of this, if these predators are hunted, okay, due to hunting these predators comes down, the population of the predator comes down, then what happens? The population again, the rest of the population, the predated by this particular species, the population of that becomes again high. So this is a variation of this logistic growth curve that I am just discussing, but here we have the question on this part. Okay, so logistic curve, the logistic model is given as, this is the equation for logistic model, and what will be the answer? N by K equal to 0 when death rate is greater than birth rate, when N by K is exactly 1. So this is the point where population density, population growth, sorry, and the carrying capacity both becomes equal. So this is the, when N nears the carrying capacity, that is not actually this answer, because when does the growth rate of a population following the logistic model equal 0? It will happen when this will be the answer, when the N and K will be equal and they will be 1, exactly 1. So another question is there from 2017 which is just related to that. Asymptote in the logistic growth curve is obtained when? Asymptote, what is asymptote? When the population growth is reaching this point, when the plateau starts, this is the asymptote, and if you take K by 2, you just dissect it, then these two portions will be the mirror image of one another. This is called asymptote. So this question, asymptote in a logistic growth curve is obtained when K equal to N, K is greater than N, K is lesser than N, and the R tending to 0. So here also the answer is K is equals to N. So you have to understand very well that in case of exponential growth, it is not possible in an indefinite manner, because it is absurd. Ultimately the resources will stop growing the population. So logistic growth, where the population per capita growth rate gets smaller and smaller as the population size approaches a maximum imposed by a limiting resource or limited resource in the environment. So this is known as the carrying capacity, this point where the N and the K becomes equal. Okay, next question. Gauss principle of competitive exclusion states that number 1, no two species can occupy the same niche indefinitely for the same limiting resources. Number 2, larger organisms exclude smaller one through competition. Number 3, more abundant species will exclude the less abundant species through competition. And 4, competition for the same resources excludes species having different food preferences. Now actually this is Gauss principle that states no two species can occupy the same niche indefinitely for the same limiting resources. This is Gauss principle. Now what is niche? Niche is the functional position of a particular organism in a particular ecosystem. Its level of existence, where it is there, means it is primary consumer or secondary consumer. It depends on that particular ecosystem, that particular food chain, that where is the functional position of that particular organism, that is called niche. And when both of them are sharing the same niche, and they are having the same food or shelter preferences, like same limiting resources, then they cannot exist together for a long time. These three others are not Gauss principle. Okay, so next question. The term ecosystem was coined by E. Haeckel, E. Warming, E. Odum, E.P. Odum, A.G. Tansley. So here Ernst Haeckel or E. Haeckel, he is renowned for his theory that states ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. That means ontogeny is the developmental history of embryo, embryological history, which will repeat itself in one or the other stage. It will repeat its evolutionary development. Phylogeny means evolutionary development. So this theory, ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, this is given by Ernst Haeckel. E. Warming, he has written a book on textbook on ecology. Okay, and E.P. Odum, he is also the writer of Fundamentals of Ecology in 1953. He has also written the book. And A.G. Tansley, he is the propounder, or he coined the term ecosystem in 1935. So the correct answer is A.G. Tansley. Now the next question is, which of the following is the most important cause of animal and plants being driven to extinction? Habitat loss and fragmentation. Number 2, co-extinction. Number 3, overexploitation. Number 4, alien species invasion. I am discussing all the four. Habitat loss and fragmentation, it happens due to urbanization, due to road construction, dam construction, like this, where the habitat of particular species or some species are interrupted, fragmented, broken into small pieces, so they cannot exchange their food or they cannot move around in their natural habitat. So suddenly this will result towards extinction. Okay, so habitat loss and fragmentation, this is very important. This is the most important cause where the plants and animals being driven to extinction. So this is the correct answer. But why the others are not? Now co-extinction, where one species is dependent on other. So if the host species is some way or other depleted, destroyed, destructed, killed, or its habitat is lost in this way, so if host is the number of host species is coming down, then the species which is dependent on the host, coexisting species, that will slowly the population of that species will also slowly come down. So population density will decrease. So co-extinction is also a kind of extinction, but it will take some time. It is gradual. Sudden extinction will not be there like this. Okay. Overexploitation, that we are doing already in our nature. So this will also take some time for the species to go for extinction. And alien species invasion, that also will take some time, because alien species is some foreign species which is coming and destroying the ecosystem of a particular region. So it will take some time, by the time which will be taken by the alien species to kill or to drive a particular species towards the extinction. Now the last one. A river with an inflow of domestic sewage rich in organic waste may result in. So a river, I can see here, this is a highly polluted river, inflow of domestic sewage is there. So nutrient So much of nutrient organic wastes are added to the river. So what will happen? First of all, there will be a huge growth of microorganisms which will grow on these nutrients and this organic waste. So due to sudden increase in microorganism, the biological oxygen, the oxygen which is dissolved in the water, that will get depleted. So what will be the answer? We'll see. An increased production of fish due to biodegradable nutrient. Increased production of fish is not possible because the fishes will not get the oxygen which is required. All the oxygens will be utilized by the growing microorganisms. Along with that, death of fish due to lack of oxygen, this will be the correct option, but let us read the other options also. Drying of the river very soon due to algal bloom. This we can relate with eutrophication. Where plants and animals, plants and algae, some of the algae which will grow suddenly in a high amount, and that will also, these kind of aquatic plants and algal blooms which grows when the water is highly polluted, then this kind of growth will also cut off the oxygen present in the water. And the last one, increased population of aquatic food web organism. This is also not possible because oxygen, if the oxygen of the water is cut off, then food web of organisms will grow there. It is not possible. So death of fish due to lack of oxygen will be the answer. Now before concluding this session, I want to say that I want to discuss 2-3 questions more from our 2018 NEET, which we have already discussed on that topic. Like there was a question, I am just reading. All of the following are included in ex situ conservation. I have already discussed ex situ conservation in my previous first video. So ex situ conservation, I have already told that if the conservation of organism is out of its natural habitat, then it is ex situ conservation. So the options were seed bank, botanical garden, sacred groves and wildlife safari parks. So botanical gardens, sacred groves and wildlife safari parks, they are natural conservation, natural habitat where the species are conserved. So what will be the answer? The seed bank, which we make, which we just we take the seed and keep them under conservation. Okay, so this one again, one question is there, like natality refers to, we know that this is the birth rate, number of individual entering a habitat, number of individual leaving the habitat, birth rate, death rate. It is again related to our growth curve, population density. So I am discussing it here. So natality is the birth rate. This is the correct answer. And just now I have discussed about niche. There was a question that is, niche is number 1, functional role played by the organism where it lives. Number 2, the range of temperature that the organism needs to live. Number 3, the physical space where an organism lives. And number 4, all the biological factors in the organism's environment. So we can easily understand this is the functional role played by the organism where it lives. So this one is the correct option. And I have already discussed in my video today that ozone depletion and regarding UV radiation and all. So World's Ozone Day is celebrated on. This was the question from NEET 2018. World Ozone Day is celebrated on 22nd April, 16th September, 21st April and 5th June. So the correct answer will be 16th September.